These are my Pasture rabbit pens. Let me tell you about the latest design. We're 3 seasons into raising pastured rabbits out on the grass right now, and I would say that with 3 seasons, this is about our 4th design or 5th design. Let me tell you, it is definitely severely overbuilt as far as rabbit goes. I mean, I could probably farrow pigs in one of these. That's how strong, well, maybe not quite that strong. But let me show you a few things that I really love about this design and why I think that this is the one we're going to stick with, at least for the short term. One thing I like having is 2 points of access on my rabbit cage. One at the front, which is what you're looking at now, and then the door at the back, the lid at the back, which I'll show you in a minute. The reason I like that is that when it comes to catching rabbits, if we have to move a doe in with the buck for breeding, or if we're going to take the doe's litter out, or if we're taking rabbits to the processor, it's nice to be able to come at them from both ends. So on this design, what I've done is I've just simply drilled holes through the tin roof, and I put these wing nuts on. I can take them off. There's 4 of them on there, just like that. And then I just slide off this whole piece of tin, and we have easy access to the inside of the rabbit pen. Our second point of access is the lid, which we can just open up on the back. This is the hutch area of the pen, and this just gives us access not only to the hutch where we can have the litters of bunnies, but also where the feeder is. So let me show you the feeder and what I like about the design that we did on the inside of version 3.0. Now, one of the major pain points for us on our other designs of our rabbit pens was that we had the feeders on the front of the pen, and when it would rain, not only would rain come in from the side, but rain would hit the top of the feeder, and you would think that the lid would protect it, but it doesn't, and then the feed would get wet, and when the feed gets wet, then it's worthless. So this time we decided to try putting the feeders inside. So far it's worked. The one thing that you do have to think about is where the seam of your lid is, so that it isn't dropping water down on top of that feeder. But all we have to do to feed the rabbits is open up the lid and then drop the feed in. It's pretty easy. The other thing you'll notice is that we have this hardware cloth on the bottom of these pens. Initially we had a solid plywood floor, but the hardware cloth we think gives them a little bit more access to the coolness of the ground, especially in the hot summer months when the rabbits spend the majority of their time out on pasture. So that's what you're seeing there. From the front of the pen looking in, of course, you can see the pull rope that we use to drag the cages ahead each day. You can see over on the right hand side of the cage, we have just a regular rabbit water bottle right now, although we do have something in the works to kind of increase our rabbit capacity. If you look all the way at the back, you'll see that feeder that I was talking about, and then the slats are about 2.5 inches spaced apart. They're furring strips, and that allows the rabbits great access to the grass. One thing that I've heard, I've never tested this before, so I can't speak with any authority on it, but one thing that I've heard is if you use a metal bottom, what happens is the rabbits will bite against that metal when they're trying to eat the grass, and they don't like the taste of the metal or the feel of the metal, and so they'll stop. The other thing that's great about this slats like this is that you can see the grass just kind of pokes up through, especially right here. You can see that it's poking up through, and that's great because rabbits like to eat from the top down on the grass. So if the grass was laid over flat, they wouldn't be eating as much. You can even see this little buck in here is kind of doing that same thing right now. He's kind of going for the tops of the grass, which is where the good stuff is for them, and then he can go back to his feeder. So that's the inside of the cage. The whole thing is covered with tin. I like that. I like to give them as much shade as possible, and then they can get a good cross breeze underneath it. As I said in the beginning of the video, these things are built like a tank. They're made with 2x2s and 2x3s. I've got plywood on them. They are screwed together. They are built to last, even though they're not built of treated materials, because I don't want my rabbits chewing on the treated materials. They're built to last. The other thing that I like about them is that every piece of wood on there is easily replaceable. pop out a few screws and I can just slide in a new piece if there's any wear and tear that happens on them. I know that there are lighter rabbit pens out there that people have designed. I know that there are probably cheaper rabbit pens out there that people have designed, but for me, I want to have rabbit pens that will last 7, 8, 9, 10 years or more, and I think that the pens that I've designed here are going to be able to do that. We have some already of version 1.0 or version 0.1 that are 3 years old, and really no worse for wear except for a few little minor things that we fixed along the way. So these are my rabbit pens. In the comments below, let me know what you think of them. If you've got some pens of your own, let me know what they look like. I'm always looking for what to do for version 3.1 or 4.0 or 5 or whatever it is, because I know when it comes to something like this, we're always iterating, we're always looking for the best thing. So thank you so much. Remember to go to thebeginningfarmer.com to check out the podcast and links to videos and so much more.